The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the doors hissed open. Valentina strode in with confidence, her boots echoing against the crystalline floor. Behind her, padding on massive paws, walked a creature that should not exist. Ambassador Zixter's 3 eyes widened in synchronized horror. His scales rippled with colors that expressed pure disbelief. The other delegates, representing 12 different species from across 3 galactic arms, froze in their seats. "Impossible," whispered the Varelian diplomat, her translucent form shimmering with shock. The saber-toothed cat yawned, revealing fangs as long as daggers. Its tawny coat gleamed under the chamber's artificial lights, muscles rippling beneath fur as it sat beside Valentina with surprising gentleness. The creature's amber eyes surveyed the room with an intelligence that made several delegates lean back instinctively. "Council members," Valentina began, her voice steady and clear, "I present Exhibit A in humanity's petition to revise the Galactic Extinction Database." Zixter recovered first, his vocal synthesizer crackling. "This is a violation of Protocol 447. That creature is classified as extinct for over 10,000 of your Earth years. 11,650 years. Actually," Valentina corrected, scratching behind the big cat's ears. The creature leaned into her touch, producing a rumbling purr that vibrated through the floor. "According to your records, but here's the thing about humans, we don't really accept extinction as final." The counselor from Thermodax Ix stood, his crystalline body refracting light in agitated patterns. "Explain yourself, human. Our bioarchaeologists conducted extensive surveys of your planet. The species Smilodon fatalis disappeared during your Pleistocene epoch. This is documented fact." Braxton chose that moment to enter through the same doors, carrying a hovering cart loaded with data chips and holographic projectors. His easy grin contrasted sharply with the tense atmosphere. "That's where you're wrong, Counselor. May I?" Valentina nodded. Braxton activated the first projector, and a 3-dimensional image materialized above the chamber floor, a double helix. Rotating slowly, this, Braxton explained, moving through the crowd with the confidence of a seasoned educator, is the complete genome of Smilodon fatalis. Humanity preserved it, along with genetic material from thousands of other species, in something we call the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, though by the time we expanded to space, we'd renamed it the Terra Life Archive. "Preserved genetic code is not a living creature," Zixter protested, though his tone had shifted from outrage to uncertainty. "You're absolutely right," Valentina agreed. She pulled out a small device and projected her own hologram images of vast underground facilities, laboratories filled with incubation chambers, and scientists in clean suits working with microscopic precision. "That's why we spent 200 years perfecting de-extinction protocols. We didn't just want data, we wanted life." The saber-tooth Valentina had named her Luna stretched lazily and padded to the center of the chamber. Delegate scrambled back, but Luna merely flopped onto her side, exposing her belly in a display of contentment that seemed almost calculated to disarm. "By the eternal void," breathed the Varelian diplomat. It's domesticated." "Not exactly," Braxton said, joining Valentina at the center. "Luna here is the product of 15 generations of careful breeding, gene therapy, and behavioral conditioning. But her instincts, pure. We didn't make a pet, we brought back a species and then befriended it." Zixter's scales shifted through a spectrum of colors expressing deep thought. "The energy expenditure alone, the resources, the time, ... Why? The universe has declared these creatures lost to time. Why would humans fight so hard against the inevitable?" Valentina knelt beside Luna, running her hand along the great cat's flank. "Because we're the species that learned to make fire in the darkness, who looked at the stars and decided to reach them. We're the ones who brought back species from the brink not once, but dozens of times on our own planet, before we even achieved spaceflight." She stood, facing the council directly. "The California condor, the black-footed ferret, the Arabian oryx, we saved them all when other species would have simply updated their extinction records. And when we couldn't save them in time, the passenger pigeon, the Thessatian, the woolly mammoth, we catalogued their genes and promised ourselves not forever." Braxton activated another projection. This time, entire ecosystems bloomed in holographic detail: forests, plains, oceans. "We've established 3 sanctuary worlds. Each one maintains populations of extinct species in carefully balanced ecosystems. Saber-tooths, direwolves, mammoths, terror, birds, all thriving." "This is madness," protested the Thermid. "Playing gods with the natural order." "Natural order." Valentina's laugh was sharp. "Counselor, with respect, Your species prevented the Skrull from going extinct 70 years ago through medical intervention. The Valiants maintain seed banks for their endangered flora. Every species in this room has fought against loss. Humans just refuse to accept that time alone is a good enough reason to give up. Luna rose and walked back to Valentina, headbutting her hand affectionately. The gesture was so unexpectedly tender that several delegates made their species equivalent of an awed gasp. The human petition stands, Zixter announced, his colors settling into diplomatic neutrality. You wish to revise extinction classifications for which species? Braxton smiled, pulling up a list that made the holographic display scroll for several long moments. 467 terrestrial species, to start. We have viable genetic material and active de-extinction programs for all of them, and we're not stopping there. Furthermore, Valentina added, we're offering our de-extinction protocols to any council species interested in resurrecting their own lost biodiversity, free of charge. Because that's another thing about humans, we believe that life, in all its impossible, stubborn, beautiful diversity, is worth fighting for. The chamber erupted in debate, voices and translators creating a cacophony of sound. But Valentina noticed several delegates leaning forward with interest rather than horror. Braxton caught her eye and winked. Luna yawned again, utterly unbothered by the historical moment unfolding around her. She had food, companionship, and a warm place to sleep. In the end, perhaps that was the most human thing of all, taking something the universe had discarded and saying, no, you matter. You belong. Welcome back. The vote, when it finally came, was closer than expected, but it passed. Humanity had always been good at impossible things.